Hi, Epic Recaps here, and today I am going to explain to you a 2016 American war action film titled 13 Hours. If you want to be spoiled, keep watching. The movie opens, and a soldier named Jack Silva arrives in Benghazi, Libya, and is picked up by his best friend and fellow CIA contractor, Tyrone Woods. The two men are stopped in the streets by a group of militants, and Tyrone radios their chief to send in a team, but the chief refuses. The militant leader orders them to pull over their vehicle for inspection. Pulling out their guns, Tyrone warns the leader that there is a drone ready to strike. The militant hesitates but allows the two men to leave. Arriving at the CIA safe house, nicknamed the NX, Tyrone confronts the chief over not letting the team go in. The chief reminds Tyrone that their diplomatic status in Libya is unstable, and they have strict orders not to engage civilians and militants prior to the US ambassador's arrival. Meanwhile, Jack meets the rest of the team, a group of private military contractors from GRS that have been brought in to protect the compound. Jack goes on a brief task with two undercover CIA officers, Sona Gilani and Britt Vayner, while the rest of the team is nearby for protection. Tyrone spots a couple of suspicious men and gets out of the car, compromising his position. Jack is alerted and gets Gilani and Vayner out of there. Prior to the US ambassador's arrival, the team members visit the special mission compound where he will be staying. They review the location and warn its diplomatic security agents, Dave Ubben and Scott Wickland, about the risk of minimal security arrangements and the high probability of a surprise attack due to the country's volatile circumstances. Arriving in Benghazi, Ambassador Stevens takes up residence in the compound, and is guarded by diplomatic agents along with guards hired from the local February 17th Martyrs Brigade militia, nicknamed 17 Feb. On the morning of the 11th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, Stevens notices some dubious men around the compound taking pictures, prompting him to notify his security detail. Meanwhile, back at the NX, the team takes the opportunity to contact their families, and Jack talks to his wife Becky and their daughters. One of the girls spills the beans to Jack that Becky is pregnant with their third child. That night, a group of militants from Ansar al-Sharia assault the compound. The guards are quickly overrun, which allows the attackers easy access inside. The militants fire off shots and invade the compound as Wickland takes Stevens and Sean Smith, an IT specialist, into the panic room. Unable to breach the room, the militants begin pouring diesel fuel on the floor to burn the men out. Lighting it on fire, heavy smoke begins to seep into the panic room. Wickland makes it out but ends up losing Stevens and Smith. Meanwhile, the men at the NX are informed of the attack and want to head out to help, but the chief refuses to send them out for fear that the NX will be defenseless. The team disregards their orders and heads over to special mission. Arriving at the compound, the team meets up with the other DS guards and Jack and Tyrone enter the building in search of Stevens and Smith, but only find Smith's body. After an intense firefight inside the compound against the militants, the DS guards retreat, but after Wickland goes the wrong way, they are followed by militants on their way back to the NX. Shortly after, the GRS team also retreats and makes their way back to the compound. Fearing retaliation, the CIA officers attempt to contact the nearest air bases to aid them in a strike against the militants. They are able to contact Glenn "Bub" Doherty, a GRS officer in Tripoli that rounds up his own team, including two Delta operators, and heads down to Benghazi to help. More militants head toward the NX and continue their attack against the Americans. The team fires back and continues to defend the compound, despite coming under heavy fire. The militants fall back and try to regroup, and the GRS team does the same with the arrival of Glenn and his men. After learning that more help is on the way, the Tripoli GRS reinforcements begin to prepare the CIA and DS staff for their departure to the airport. Back outside, the militants launch a mortar attack in which Ubben and GRS team member Oz are wounded. Tyrone rushes to aid Oz and is killed by another mortar round. Doherty is also killed when a third mortar detonates directly in front of him. Jack finds Tyrone's body and weeps for his best friend. Dawn arrives, and the remaining GRS team watches a convoy of vehicles rolls toward the NX. Tonto has his gun aimed at a couple of men from the vehicles, but he gets a signal from them that they are there to help the team. Tonto cries with relief. The team is informed that Stevens' body had been found behind the compound but was pronounced dead at the hospital. The soldiers from the Libyan army gather the Americans and take them to a nearby airfield. The bodies of Smith, Tyrone, and Glenn are recovered and taken as well. The chief chooses not to get on the plane back home until Jack confronts him and orders him to get on, reminding him that he is partially responsible for some of the lives lost in the attack. Before departing, Jack calls Becky to let her know he is okay. He breaks down crying when he tells her that Tyrone didn't make it. As the plane arrives, Jack uncovers Tyrone's body to look at him one last time. The ending text states that 28 Americans were rescued that day. Libya was declared a failed state and is now a stronghold for ISIS. 10 days after the attack, thousands of Libyan civilians gathered to mourn Ambassador Stevens. The chief and surviving members of GRS received medals in a private ceremony, and the men subsequently retired to be with their families. The movie ends with an image of 2 stars on the wall of the CIA headquarters, honoring Tyrone and Glenn. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment down below. For more movie recaps, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. See you next time.